Shut up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Casual Sports Podcast. As always, Matt Morrison, Mike Wolfgang, and myself, Alec Coburna. Welcome into the Tuesday edition, 24th of May, Casual Sports Podcast. Guys, how's it going?
It's rolling. It's hot outside. Well, it's not that hot.
This is perfect weather.
Yeah.
It has been pretty nice. 60, 70 degrees right here. It's nice. Lower temperature. Last night got a little bit chilly, but I won't be complaining at this point with how nice it is. So,
San Diego weather, I love that type of weather. 70s, doesn't get too hot.
It's not.
And not to mention, we had a beautiful sunset last night. I was calling a game just as the sun was setting. The colors were immaculate. You can actually go see that. I got an interview with Mooney's head coach Eddie Reese. That's up on YSN's YouTube channel, I believe, at the moment. So you can go check that out in the article about Cardinal Mooney's final game, also up on the website. Make sure to go check that out.
Did they win? Did they beat Rootstown?
No, they ended up dropping it 11-1. Just made the wrong mistakes at the wrong times. Coach Reese was just like, we got away with some things in the prior two games against Memorial and Grand Valley, and they made those same mistakes here, and they weren't able to make the comeback. Bats went cold was a big factor in it, and their opposing pitcher was Galambo for the Rovers. He was on his stuff. He's a guy that normally it takes him 2-3 innings to settle in. Out the gate, he was on his money. So they went up against some great pitching, and they had a few mistakes, and it culminated into kind of a full-on fall apart all at once. They played a good game, but the mistakes just killed any chance they had at ever building momentum. They had a chance. I think it was right going out at the bottom of the third inning. They made some great plays, shut down the Rovers lineup. Then top of the fourth inning, that was their chance to capitalize on some momentum, get some runs back, and it never came. They couldn't get the bats working, so it dudded out their momentum.
So Rootstown will play Ursuline or somebody?
I believe so. I didn't see if Ursuline won their game last night or not.
All right.
Give me 30 seconds here.
I saw Cole Littman's dad yesterday.
Yes, it will be Ursuline.
So they were saying that if they would have won this game last night, which ultimately they didn't, they were saving Cole for that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would have been something, man.
That would have been part 3. Check up on the mound for that game. He had a solid 3 innings. He couldn't find a strikeout, but he ends up getting the loss in the game. He was not the reason they went down. They had fielding errors behind him that I think shredded his confidence on the mound. He didn't get a chance to really show us what he could do with just the mistakes that were happening on the field behind him. So I really felt for Bronson at that game because he was making the right pitches and the Rovers were just getting the proper swings on it, and then mistakes out in the field. It was not a sloppy game, but definitely not their best baseball, especially in the playoffs. They had outscored opponents in 2 rounds 28-0, and they come in here and they get nearly shut out their own 11-1. So it was just an off night for Mooney baseball, and you can't have an off night in the playoffs. And they got that, and they had to say goodbye to a couple really good seniors. And you can check out the full interview. Eddie went into a little bit more depth. Great guy. First season at Cardinal Mooney, they finished at 11-12. But yes, it will be Rootstown versus Ursuline tomorrow night at 6:30 at Bobstein Park. And you can, of course, catch that here on ysnlive.com/games.
Will you be on that call, or is someone else?
I'm not sure, actually. I don't know who they have set up. I haven't gotten the call yet that I'm on the call, so I don't know.
Call that you're on the call.
Yep. You got to wait for those calls to come in. Actually, it's a text. That's how we operate.
Whatever.
All right, let's talk about some other baseball here. Horizon League, coming down to it, boys. Regular season is officially to a close, and the Horizon League tournament will come up here this Thursday, I believe, as I was a little behind on the Horizon League here. Thought we still had another week, but no, the field has been set, and first games will actually take place tomorrow at Wright State. So game 1, Purdue-Fort Wayne taking on Youngstown State, and game 2 will be UIC taking on Northern Kentucky. Those are basically the play-in games to really get in the tournament because those are the 4 through 6 seeds. Only the 7th seed doesn't make it. Milwaukee's season has come to a close. They finish out in last place, 20-30 overall, and after the last weekend, they lost. Let's see here. They lost 2 out of the 3 games to Wright State in their final series this past weekend, and now they get to take a ride into the rest of the sunset. Your 6 teams in the Horizon League tournament: Wright State, Oakland, UIC, Fort Wayne, Youngstown State, and Northern Kentucky. Winner of the Fort Wayne versus Youngstown State game will take on Wright State that on Thursday. Winner of UIC versus Northern Kentucky will take on Oakland on Thursday's game at 3 p.m. And then the 2 losers play in the losers bracket, so they're still alive, still have a chance to make that run into the championship. So
they have some YSU's got some some players that get them there. I mean, Matt, right-hander pitcher, he's a junior named Matt Broski, was just named first team All Horizon League today. Actually, I had a class with him. He's a heck of a guy. And he's a pretty darn good pitcher too. And then Braden O'Shaughnessy also made first team All-American for the Horizon League. So they have some key players. Mike and I were there at that game against USC. When was that, Mike?
Friday.
Friday. I don't know if they ended up winning that game. We were running around too much, but they looked pretty good. The game actually got delayed, so a lot of people
on Friday they won it 10-6.
Oh, okay, sweet.
They won 2 of the 3 games against UIC, and because of that, they jumped out of they jumped out of 6th place over Northern Kentucky.
That game was delayed, like it was raining really bad, so a lot of the schools I went there for like their field trips ended up leaving. I wanted to stay and watch it. So
Shaughnessy, he's from Poland, right?
I think so, yeah.
That name sounds familiar. I think Poland.
Yeah, it does. I kept on hearing it being announced. I'm like, I know that name. So
I want to say Poland.
Yeah, we'll have to see though. I'll check into that. But
I forgot the playoffs were even coming up, to be honest with you.
I knew it was coming down to the end of the season.
Yeah.
But
yeah, here we are.
Comes up on you fast, man.
It really does, and I mean, it's crazy. It's still a decent ways ahead, but I'm putting out my schedule for the summer and coordinating what I'm doing for the rest of the summer, and I'm already looking ahead. I got halfway through August, and I'm like, well, shoot, that's football season. It's just right around the corner. I mean, we're really 2.5 months away from.
Hey, today's 100 days. Today's 100 days for college football. 100 days today.
Since you already brought, I know we'll talk about this more. Wait, are we done with Horizon League baseball?
Yeah, sure.
All right, but man, Alec and I should be on the call again for this Brookfield Warriors team. This team is gonna be stacked. Okay, all these players are coming into the store. They're already back working out. They've been working out this whole time. There was no off season for them. They've been hitting the gym like that. Ryan Tetrick probably gained 15, 20 more pounds. I saw him. New Navy commit, Connor Heater. He's coming into the store. I mean, the dude's packing in the food. I tell you that.
Matt, this was a team last year. They only lost a handful of seniors, did they not? I mean, yeah. I know they're going to miss Dave Pulowski. That's going to be a big loss. And Tiandre Craig, was he junior or senior this past season?
So Tiandre Craig is gone, but that running back coming up now.
Christian Davis, baby.
We are on the train. Oh, they said they said he could go faster now. For some reason, he got stronger. I guess he put on a little bit more muscle too.
So the CD player is running on fast forward, is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. And you got Donovan Pulaski back.
That's his nickname now. Christian Davis, CD player.
Oh yeah.
Max volume. That's what we're at. Hey, we're on the call. There it is. Coined right here on the Catchable Sports Podcast on May 24th.
Oh man, I can't wait for it. Like we've seen the Garfield. I believe Garfield ran that running. That they pretty much ran the whole game with.
They ran the whole season.
They ran the whole season. Brookfield has the ability to do that with Pulowski and Davis back there, but then they have these receivers that can go out and get them too. So they have the running ability and the passing ability. They still have Withrow, and Isaiah Jones is coming back as well.
Not to mention, Brookfield seems to find talent at every turn too. Mm-hmm. I mean, that city is full of it up there. For some little farm town up north of Youngstown, they have no business producing the talent that they do up there. But they got talent around, and I mean, I've seen a few of them here in baseball season, not on the Brookfield team, but guys like Bronson Ferencek, Andrew Carilla from Ursuline, and Jeff Brenner, Cole Littman. They're all from that region. They're all up there in the Hartford area. So there's a lot of talent up there, and it gets showcased with those Brookfield Warriors teams. They stack them in there. But the MVAC Gray this year should be interesting. MVAC in total, I mean, the biggest question mark, I think, in the history of the season is going to be, what are the Springfield Tigers going to be without Bo Brungard? I mean, they just lost a 4-year quarterback for them who took in the multiple, state runs. That's going to be the biggest question mark. That opens up a side on the MVAC Scarlet for a team to potentially jump into that place if they have a down year. And the MVAC Gray is going to be as, gifted as ever with all these teams that are returning pretty much entire rosters. Garfield, who's going to be missing a demolition crew out there. I mean, I want to see what that turns into, because we talked to the coach last year. He's just like, we're going to deal with that when the time comes. Time's here. It's going to be interesting.
And you're about to get a little bit upset. We have a mutual friend who works for the YSU, film crew, and they said that they're not even prioritizing Bo Brungard as a quarterback. They're putting him in as a safety. So he's not even going to be a quarterback. He's going to be a safety. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
I can't believe that, man. At least they're going to
it's YSU. It's not hard to believe.
Well, Youngstown State doesn't have a quarterback.
That's what I'm saying.
Rushman is Dre Rushman's a heck of a running back, and not to forget they're getting Dominguez too from South Range, so that'll be something too. But I want to see Bo Brungard and Dylan Dominguez, man. I don't want to see him as a safety. The dude has an arm. He has a cannon.
Exactly. You know what? All I can say is we better have somebody that can throw the football next year, because if we don't, it's just.
You can't make it by throwing 5 times a game like they did last year.
No.
You're going to lose games. And we're probably not going to get the call. It's a Thursday night. I can't do it anyways because I have Thursday night classes. Brookfield is taking on Ursuline at YSU.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get on that game or not. I mean, I know Ursuline has a crew that normally calls here, but hey, maybe we can get 2 different broadcasts.
If I'm not on it, I'm watching it because I'll be on campus. I'll just shoot over to the field.
Yeah. Should be over on Stambaugh Stadium. Opener on the 18th. Brookfield at Ursuline should be great. But, Matt, this MVAC this season, I mean, you got Champion, who has been competing the last 2 seasons with Brookfield for that top spot. You got teams like Crestview, Garfield, LeBray. Liberty was on the up and up last year. Newton Falls and Campbell Memorial. You never know what to expect. I mean, their basketball squad just literally shot out of nowhere this last season. So, in this last basketball season, those athletes tend to translate over. This might be the best year for MVAC Gray football. I mean, you had nearly a 4-way tie going into first place for the MVAC Gray. I mean, between Garfield, LeBray, Brookfield, and Crestview, there was about that much separating them all. So it'll be very interesting to see this season.
It should be. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. I want high school football, man.
I know. It's just like I saw it on the calendar and I went, oh, yeah.
Like, I want my football. Summer, too. But
it's like, I love baseball, but football season is just a whole different monster. It's so exciting.
This is going into my last semester of school, too, and it should be honestly an easy. Oh, I'm not going to put that out there, but it shouldn't be as hard as the other semesters. I can just focus on football.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, there he goes. He jinxed it. Matt, go.
No, I'm not
semester-
jinxing it. Listen, last semester was so hard, okay? It was so hard.
Matt, you got capstone, you got all that stuff your last semester. It ain't going to be easy.
No.
It's not going to be easy, but it's a little relieving that I got past this last semester. And I just have one more to go, okay? One more of these grueling semesters, and I'm done. But
yeah, we all get to focus in on football, though, in a couple months. We'll get to that down the line.
Yeah.
Let's keep it, though, in the here, in the now. And the right now is the Boston Celtics made some noise and tied up this series. How about that? Who saw that one coming last night?
How about the
Celtics
terrible
going
shooting?
up by 20 and winning that game against the Miami Heat. And this was a team that we thought Boston could be this entire series. How they performed last night. They once again did everything right. And in this entire series, the Miami Heat have only won 2 quarters. 2 quarters in this entire series, and that has won them their 2 games.
It's tied.
Can you imagine if Boston wins those 2 quarters, 2 quarters all they win in this series, they've already won it. They get to sweep to go into the NBA Finals. This is the Boston Celtics team that I was expecting in this series, and you've seen it. Both times the Heat won, they aren't really running away from it. Both times the Celtics have won 25 and 20 in those 2 games. So they're winning it by a normal 22.5 points.
Yeah.
Well, on the other side, Heat won one by 6 and one by 11. So they're winning by what?
That game that won by 6
points?
should have been a blowout. But, I mean, they didn't have Jimmy Butler the whole half, and they just pretty much had to
guys were dropping nice flies on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they were held by the 39-point first quarter, and Boston was kind of just left scratching and crawling to try and get back into that. And then once Butler was out, yeah, definitely.
Here's what is really concerning me. If Boston does not have Jason Tatum, they still have. Mike and I were talking about this yesterday. They could probably get away with not having Tatum. They still have Brown, and they still have who's the other guy? Mike.
Smart.
Yeah, Marcus Smart. But you didn't even have Marcus Smart. If they don't have one of those top 3 guys, I'm not saying that they could probably get out of this series with that, because if Jimmy Butler's not hitting it, it's not going to work.
I thought about this, so and I didn't disagree with you when you said this yesterday, but I wasn't 100% on board with that. But I thought about it a little bit more. That's kind of disrespecting Miami a little bit.
A little.
If they don't have Tatum, they can still lose the series.
The whole starting 5 had what, like 15? 18,
yeah, but do you think that's going to continue?
I hope not.
I mean, Matt, it's basketball's a streaky game. You shoot bad for one game, you come out. I'm not saying you're going to shoot the lights out. But you can't shoot any worse than they did last night.
Boston didn't even have good shooting numbers last night.
But you can't get any. You had 18 points out of your starting lineup the whole game. That's not going to continue.
No,
and you're not going to have.
It shouldn't.
You're not going to have a start where you're going to start at 0 for 16 or 17 or whatever it was. And honestly, they start the game out. They didn't score until like 3 minutes left in the first quarter. And I'm thinking, at that point it was like 18-1,
wasn't it?
And I'm sitting there thinking, they might come back and win, because 18-1, Boston should be up like 25-1.
Exactly.
So I was like, that's for starting out 0 for 16 or whatever it was. They should be a lot worse than that. Yeah, but they just couldn't get anything going all night at all.
They're going to come back to Miami and hope they can get some stuff figured out. But, I mean, at least they got one on the
defense in this game was outstanding for Boston. I think as much as you say it was a terrible shooting night on the Miami Heat side, give credit to 11 blocks by the side of the Boston Celtics in this. They had a terrible shooting night all around as well. The only real difference between these 2 teams was what they did at the free throw line, and Miami couldn't hit a free throw to save their lives last night. They shot under 60% from the free throw line, so no defense in their face. They still couldn't put them down. So. Yeah. Matt, to your point about if they could still lose this, I mean, that Boston could still win the series without Tatum or Marcus Smart. I think that's complete nonsense, baloney. Get that mumbo jumbo out of here. Matt, you've had some hot takes in your time, and you've had some hot takes that pay off. That's one that ain't a good take right there. But without Tatum, this Boston Celtics team doesn't have any scoring. Tell me on this team, who are you really going to see go out there and rely to score? He is their scorer. Yeah. He is their man. That's like saying if LeBron James wasn't on if LeBron James had gotten injured when we had Kyrie and Kevin Love, instead of Kevin Love and Kyrie going down, that Cleveland still could have won the series. No. It's idiotic because he is your scorer. Yeah, you have other great players.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you got one killer. You got one killer on the team. You got one man who is going to go out there and when the game was on the line, you know he's going to put it in there. In Boston has Tatum. They don't have a number 2. Jaylen Brown, I love the guy. I think he's a great basketball player, and I love him in Boston. Love him in that spot. It's his perfect spot. He is a Bostonian through and through. But he is not Jason Tatum. Peyton Pritchard, he is not Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum came out of high school and college being poised as the next big threat in the NBA. He is finally living up to that. I'm not going to take that away and go, oh, well, it's just a team. No, it is not. We're going to look back at someday at this team when Tatum's career is all done and through and go, Jason Tatum carried the Boston Celtics in these series because every series, we're not talking about Marcus Smart or, Jaylen Brown or Al Horford or Peyton Pritchard. It's what is Jason Tatum going to do? And that gives you all you need to know about this Boston team. It is Jason Tatum's team. Brad Stevens didn't work for Jason Tatum, so they pushed him aside. Kyrie Irving didn't work for Jason Tatum, so they helped get him out of it.
Al Horford did.
Al Horford's working for Jason Tatum. That's why he's around.
He was working last night. Man. 4 blocks. What?
Jason Tatum is the only reason the Boston Celtics are half as good as they are.
I'm not saying you're right with this Jason Tatum take, but what I'm about to say might actually help you. Pretty much. Who do Memphis Grizzlies really have that sticks out to in your mind besides Ja Morant?
Steven Adams.
But is he a star? That's like saying Steven Adams, like Al Horford in this case.
Steven Adams, man. All right.
And they blew out Golden State in that game 4 or 5, whatever it was. We all came on the show thinking, oh, Memphis could come back and win the series.
I didn't.
So how do we say Memphis has a chance to beat Golden State? We can't say Boston has a chance to beat Miami without Tatum.
Because we saw Memphis without Ja Morant, and they did just fine. When we've seen the Boston Celtics without Jason Tatum, this season they were 2-4. Last year they were 2-6 without Jason Tatum. There is a clear picture being painted that Boston cannot win when Jason Tatum is out of the lineup. In the 2019-20 season, they were 2-4 without him. In the 2019 season, they were 1-2. They have never had a winning record when Jason Tatum is not on the floor.
They almost pulled that off.
They show consistent losses when Jason Tatum is not in the lineup. That is the difference between Ja Morant and Jason Tatum. Memphis built a great team. Boston built a team around a great player.
There you go.
The same reason why Cleveland could never win when LeBron wasn't there. They built a good team around a great player instead of putting a great player on a great team.
I'm not commenting on that.
I don't want to comment about LeBron James. Let's talk about Derek White, man. Who is this guy? He can play. Oh my gosh!
I told you they needed him to go off in this series.
He had 3 steals, 1 block. He had 13 points too. I mean, like, where did this guy come from? Like,
San Antonio.
Yeah, but I'm talking about.
No one ever heard of him because he was playing in San Antonio, just like Kawhi Leonard.
But I'm just like, where did this dude He's on the court, and then oh, that's just another dude on the court. Like, no, he's like a key piece. Like,
he set the tone early for him. He scored the first 10 points, I think, or 7 points or whatever.
He's taking the ball right out of Jimmy Butler's hands, and then here comes Al Horford just completely disrespecting Jimmy Butler by blocking half of his shots. Holy cow!
Yeah, well, the thing I like about Derek White in this is that he was forced to miss, I think, game 2 or game 3, I don't remember which one. And it came back, and it did exactly what I hoped he would come back with, a fresh mindset, of fresh legs. And coming back here in game 4, he came out and lit the place up. And, I mean, those 13 points for him are a massive 13 points that they weren't getting out of him in really entire playoffs so far. He was playing kind of like a dud the whole time, and his scoring was a key piece that was missed. And him scoring finally is a huge piece to the Boston Celtics taking this series. They don't need a lot out of him, but they need more than 2 or 3 points a night, and that's what he did. And you saw it. His offense helps out the defense because it's one less thing that a guy like Tatum or Brown has to take care of on the offensive side.
Yeah.
They were able to play more fresh defensively.
Now we talked a little bit about Boston. Let's jump on this Miami side. PJ Tucker had 0 points. Butler had 6.
Kyle Lowry had 3.
9. Adebayo just came off a 31-point game, and he just scored 9 points.
Yeah, he played amazing in that last game.
He's inconsistent so far. I mean, come on. He needed
They
to
brought
get going. He wasn't
they
going.
brought Duncan Robinson back, and he goes off
Duncan
for 14.
Robinson had 14 points, and Oladipo had 23, both off the bench.
I think Duncan Robinson getting more minutes is going to be huge if Miami has to make this comeback. He has to be such a key piece of this team, especially with no Tyler Hero.
Well, and they can't just bring Tyler Hero back and not play Duncan Robinson at all.
I know.
You have to
put
he's been inconsistent this year.
Together. You have to put them together.
I mean, what do we keep talking about with Miami is their depth. Use it. And I've talked to you about this before, Alec, with the playoffs. I mean, whether you like it or not, a lot of teams shorten up the rotation in the playoffs. I don't agree with it all the time with certain teams. This is a team that they shouldn't shorten the rotation up.
At this point last night,
you got too many guys that can do stuff.
At this point last night in the game, I'm like, dude, take Dwayne Dedmon out and put Udonis Haslem in, please.
No, Matt, come on. Don't go that far.
No, I will. I mean, he's
Haslem's like 50, and
he's there. They kept on zooming in on him, like, oh, they want to put him in. But
he's pretty much a coach.
Years old.
Come on.
He's just He's just like, you remember when Kendrick Perkins was on like the Cavs and stuff?
Yeah, and he didn't play. Were you sitting there saying he should play in that series?
That's Udonis Haslem now.
He's only 41, guys. He's only 41.
41.
Whatever.
Dwayne Dedmon's still 32.
Yeah.
He seems a lot older than he is. I feel like he's been around a long time.
Oh, he looks a lot older. The way he was running up and down the court. He's like, trying to keep up with Jason Tatum. Al Horford could keep up, but he couldn't. Oh, my goodness, man. Oh.
It was just a bad performance last night. You just flat out. Flat out.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Has Miami in this series so far really had a good game?
No.
I mean, you
had
talked
good
about
quarters.
It. Right. They've done
that's really scary. That's bad on Boston's part, to be honest with you.
I know.
Boston should have swept this series is the biggest thing. This should be a sweep.
That's embarrassing for Boston. Like, they should
have
swept, like you just said, they should have swept this series. They've only won 2 quarters, and it's still tied. That's more embarrassing for Boston than Miami. Boston, I don't know.
It really is. I mean,
I won't go on the embarrassing side, but to your point of, the Heat had a bad game last night. Well, they've pretty much all been bad games for Miami. They've just been worse games for Boston on the other side in the majority of those games because they should have won. They played bad basketball for 1 quarter, and they allowed a team like Miami, who loves just to sit around and then steal it when you have your hopes up, stick around too long, and they've done that all series. And I honestly can't say I've been overly impressed with Miami's play so far. And with the way things are going in the Western Conference, Mike's original prediction of the Golden State Warriors as the NBA champion is looking the best.
You better start answering for that, man. You're going all in on the Mavericks. You said
I don't care. Have we not been wrong before?
You're allowed to be wrong, but you got to explain yourself, like I do when I'm wrong.
We'll get to it.
Matt's been waiting for this. Matt's been waiting for this since yesterday. I'm when you guys start talking about the series, I'm sitting back because I told you guys.
Didn't you say when did you say the Mavericks are gonna win? Like
they are gonna win this in 5. Instead, they might lose it in 5
or 4.
4, yeah. They could still force Game 5.
They could.
I mean, I guess honestly, to the same point is they've been playing Miami basketball.
Yeah.
But they just didn't win those quarters. I mean, they haven't looked good in any game, much like the other team going on in the Eastern Conference Finals. And they've allowed they've allowed Golden State to do what they do. They didn't take anything away. They came in here, I believe, much like Mike said, and their offense did what it was going to do. I thought I liked the matchups better for the Mavericks. And, they had the regular season wins, but I forgot to take into account Golden State in the postseason.
Thank you. Part of it. I've said this 100 times last week.
Hey, I'm trying to. If you want me to explain, let me explain my piece. And
let me write down this stuff because I got stuff I want to say. Go ahead.
Go for it.
I'm just saying, just to back up my argument. Go ahead. I'm not going to argue.
Golden State, different animal in the postseason. And my biggest problem with Dallas, and it seems to happen every time, is every time this team's in the playoffs and gives Dallas fans any sort of hope is I don't feel like they ever have a game plan. They go out there and they go, hey, Luka, go score. And he scores. And then you go, okay, what else are we doing? And it's like, Luka scoring. It's like, okay, how are we going to stop them? Oh, we don't have to. Luka's scoring. And it's like, no, you need a defensive game plan, especially against a team like Golden State. And in this, they made adjustments in the previous series, which is why I thought this team was going to be able to do it again. But we haven't seen a single adjustment. They forced the best team in the NBA to 7 games and then won. No one can doubt what they did against Phoenix, and yet this isn't the Dallas team we saw a series ago. It's not the team we saw against Utah. This Dallas team now is the same Dallas team that was in the playoffs last year and 2 years ago with Kristaps Porzingis doing nothing. Luka does his, nobody else shows up, and there's no game plan. That's what has been wrong with this series, and I think you've seen with the way Luka Doncic performs, this team could win. This team could be really good. We've seen it so far. You don't get many guys going off for 40 points and losing. He's putting up numbers that don't happen too often, and if it keeps happening this way, he's going to get the exact same reputation as 2 other high-profile scorers in the NBA in the last few years of James Harden and Russell Westbrook. You can score, but you don't help out the team. And I think part of that goes back onto the team in the fact that Dallas plays without a game plan, or at least without a good one.
So you can go to the game point of it, but the things that stick out to me, and this is stuff I talked about before the series. Number one, they don't have a complete roster. This is one of my main arguments coming into why I thought Dallas. I picked them in 5. I should have picked them to sweep, to be honest. But I gave them a game because I like the way they played in that Phoenix series. But they have absolutely no size on the inside. We talked about this yesterday. I mean, Matt, Klay Thompson has been a driver throughout his career, but he's been attacking the basket. You can see Steph Curry attacking the basket more in this series because they have no size.
And that's like phenomenal right now for Klay Thompson. I mean, the dude is like he shoots. Okay, he doesn't drive in. He's done that a couple times in his career, but the fact that he's doing it now, especially
coming off of
2-year absence,
right? 2 years with injured knees and legs.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care, man. I want another championship. They were there last time, 2019. And I'd love to see Golden State go and take on Kyle Lowry again in Miami Heat, because I bet you there'd be some bones to pick with there. Because I honestly believe that if Thompson didn't go down back in 2019, they would have won that series. I honestly believe that. And I mean, he wanted to come back in and play. He was hopping off. He's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm gonna go back in and play. And they decided to take him off, but.
I got a couple more points.
The guy still has that monster mentality.
All right, so I got a couple more. So, and the other part is why I wasn't really buying the hype that Dallas had coming in after that Phoenix series, because their role players played really good in that series, but you can't count on that all the time, especially in the playoffs. You can't. I mean, you know what you're going to get with Luka, but I knew coming in, is Reggie Bullock going to come out every game like he did in that Phoenix series? He's played okay in this
40
series.
minutes, by the way, in that last game.
He's played okay. I'm not going to single out him. I'm just saying, because I'm just thinking about the supporting cast. I'm not saying he's the reason they're losing, but their supporting cast outside of Luka is Reggie Bullock. You got Kleber. You got Kleber. You have Dinwiddie, who's played well. He's picked it up. But can you count on these guys to do it all the time? Do you have a consistent where you know what you're getting every night with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green every night? Outside of Luka, I don't know who you can count on that with Dallas, at least at this point. And that thing adds to what you're saying with their game plan, or maybe what I'm saying with their lineups. They just don't ever seem to have a complete roster. That's my biggest thing with Dallas, and that's kind of why I had that going in. And like you said, my last point, Golden State's a different animal in the playoffs. That's why coming in this postseason, I didn't know how I was going to be going on a deep run with Klay back, Matt. He came back couple months into the year. I was like, I don't know how it's going to be when they're going on a deep run, but they just turn it on in the playoffs. I don't even want to say turn it on. They're just different animal in the playoffs.
And I guess I'm supporting cast with them now too. Back then, it was just the main guys were Stephen Curry, Thompson, and Green.
No, I'll get credit. They had guys that fit the roles like Sean Livingston and
Andre Iggy.
I'm getting there. Livingston was there. Iggy. Oh yeah. But now, I mean, those guys are a little bit older. I mean,
most
they're
Spades.
gone. But I like the younger cast. With Looney's been having a better game. He had a 20-point game the other night. I think that was the first time since his freshman year in college, they said, that he had a 20-point game. I like Kuminga, Jordan Poole. I really like Otto Porter Jr. This dude is something else.
He was trapped over there in Washington for years, and nothing ever happened with him.
Yeah.
He was playing third fiddle to John Wall and Bradley Beal.
Yeah. I know he only had 2 points the last game, but that's not the way he's been playing this whole, playoff. So I like the way this has been going, and even Wiggins is going off as well. So
yeah,
they got old and young men on their team.
And you know what the thing is? It's like the team they have right now. To your point, Matt, they got younger. It's almost the same style of players and team that they had. Because Andrew Wiggins pretty much took the place of he's similar to Harrison Barnes when he was good there, and you got Jordan Poole's he's similar to Sean Livingston coming off the bench, and Sean Livingston had that deadly mid range game. It's pretty much the same team, it's just a younger version.
Cooked.
Yeah,
I couldn't stand him. Didn't the Cavs have him at one point?
Yeah, he had that bad knee injury that one year, but
okay. Yeah, I remember Livingston.
They're just different, man, in the playoffs.
They are.
To me, right now, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but I'm taking them out of either team that comes out of the East.
It's looking that way, honestly.
Maybe.
I had that since before the playoffs started. I'm sticking with it.
My only thing is if Boston can play this bad and still beat the number one team in the East,
And look what Boston has done. I mean, they took down the defending champs, and I know we were talking about this too.
Without Chris Middleton too.
I know Brooklyn wasn't the best team, but listen, you still have NBA All-Stars on your
Hall
team.
of Famers.
Hall of Famers. And
Better
Kevin
both still in their prime, by the way.
Irving. Yeah, they have these guys are the face of the NBA.
I gotta open this one here real quick because you brought up the Nets. Saw a potential trade being discussed between Brooklyn and Los Angeles.
Yeah,
maybe some LeBron to Brooklyn in return for Ben Simmons and a couple other pieces in there.
Is that serious?
I
or did some fan make that up?
They were saying that coaches on either squad were looking into it. So
LeBron's never been traded. Do you realize
right?
That? He's just resigned.
LeBron gets traded for Ben Simmons. Oh, I don't look. This is Los Angeles to a T. Can you imagine putting Russ and Ben Simmons on the same team? You ain't never gonna make a shot.
And Anthony Davis, who plays 30 games a year,
18 points in a game. Man,
that would be
the Liberty
a wild trade.
Girls team could put up more points than that team if you put that together.
I think I'd take the Liberty Girls over there.
Oh yeah, Sienna Smith out there. Yeah, I'd take her over Russ Brick.
Right, Sienna Smith could probably drill more threes than both, Russ and Ben Simmons combined.
Yeah, they can't even hit a 15-footer.
That's for sure.
That'd be wild.
We got better talent here in Youngstown on your sports network than they do in the National Basketball Association. Woohoo!
Better believe it.
Look, I hope one of those three girls from Liberty ends up playing in the WNBA because they'd be to bring a whole new level of excitement to the league.
Oh,
and they got the talent to do it.
It would.
So, predictions for tonight's game: Dallas and Golden State, 9 p.m. tonight. Does Golden State walk it off in Dallas?
Yes.
I'm throwing out my 5-game prediction. I'm going that. Warriors are going to sweep it tonight.
Yes.
As much as I want to say Golden State is going to take this,
come back and win it in 7 games.
Dallas isn't going to come back and win it.
They were already saying that.
It's not going to happen.
On Twitter and stuff are you guys
Well, people are stupid. You know that. That's why you don't take
Especially
stuff seriously. Yeah,
well, I should have looked. It was probably CBS I was reading from.
Probably. They have some bad articles.
Yeah.
But part of me still wants to give Dallas a chance. What they did in Game 3 made it a 9-point loss. It's so hard to win 2 games on the road back-to-back like this. It's so hard to go in there and take both games away. And so long as Dallas has half a heart left, I think they can steal one, and they force gentleman's sweep on this. So I got Dallas, maybe the last time this season, but I'm sticking to the guns here. I said I like Dallas and I like Boston, and I'm riding them all the way. So
okay.
I got Dallas taking.
I give you credit for staying with that, but I'm gonna close out with this. yeah, it's hard to win 2 on the road and sweep it, but Golden State's done it plenty of times.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. I mean, they have. They did it against us. I mean, they swept us in the finals.
Yeah, we all remember.
So,
Didn't they do it twice?
no.
It was just once.
Yeah, one of them was a gentleman's, I believe.
Yeah. First year was they beat us in 6 games. Second year we came back from 3-1, and then
And Durant beat us in 5.
that was,
Swept us last
yeah.
one.
Yeah, Kevin Durant. Yeah. But I really think it's fitting for them to get. Stephen Curry needs to get a NBA MVP or a Finals MVP.
That's the biggest thing out of this. If Golden State goes in again and Steph Curry gets robbed for the 4th time in his career at a Finals MVP,
Who they give it to?
Matt, if Andrew Wiggins keeps playing this way, he might have a good chance for it.
Yeah.
I'm an Andrew Wiggins poster last night or on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he keeps playing this way, he got my vote.
Yeah.
That's got a potential. At this point, though, it's almost just like, okay, clearly, Klay Thompson's the reason they're here. Give it to him. He's out for 2 years and they don't do anything. Now he's back and they're in the NBA Finals.
That's most valuable.
Yeah.
Most valuable guy ain't Steph. Somehow it ain't Steph. Steph was there last year. They weren't good. They were in the lottery with just Steph Curry. Now Klay's in there, and it's like, oh, championship. That's all I'm saying.
It could have been the same. But now, what if Steph was out and Thompson was there? Now Steph came back, and now
I think it's fair to say, Matt. I think it's fair to say if one of them 2 guys are playing and the other one's out,
yeah,
they're going to struggle because they both are together.
They need each other. They do.
They're great players like without one another, but it almost feels like the modern day of Jordan and Pippen. They needed each other. As much as they, probably wouldn't admit it, they needed each other.
They did.
Because Jordan couldn't win when Pippen wasn't there.
And Steph and Klay
would have had titles if it wasn't for Jordan.
And Steph and Klay just go together. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It just goes together.
It's like Kobe and Shaq. It's the perfect duo.
They just fit. They've been there to. They built that culture there by themselves. Themselves.
I mean, Steph and Klay is what Portland thought that Dame and McCollum were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they weren't.
They were so good, man. Those guys were great, but
I know. I love.
Never worked out.
Man. We were just talking about that yesterday. They're going to get a good pick. Where are they picking? They did the draft lottery.
Yeah, they did the NBA lottery. Let's look into that here real quick.
Last week.
Head out to the NHL. They did it a week ago.
I know Cavs are picking 14th, and if we get Ochai Agbaji, oh my goodness.
I'd like that.
He's a shooting guard. We need another one, please.
We need a forward, small forward.
Yeah.
Who you asking for again?
What's that?
Portland. Portland's taken at 7.
Okay.
Number 1 pick went to Orlando. OKC got the 2. Houston got 3. Sacramento 4. Detroit 5. Pacers 6. Trailblazers 7. Pelicans 8. San Antonio 9. Wizards at 10. New York at 11. The Thunder get 2 picks in the first round. They got another one here at 12. Charlotte Hornets are at 13. And then Cleveland is at 14. Charlotte then has another one at 15. So look for a potential move up there if they trade 13 and 15 to move up the draft. I think
they're looking for another piece.
For that one.
They need at least 1 or 2 more pieces for that team in Charlotte. I'd love to see them going.
And I love that, as much as, I'm disappointed with the result of Cleveland season, I'm glad they got a pick in the lottery because it means we still get a first-round pick.
Yeah.
And it's going to help them address some things. I mean, we'll see if they can get somebody in free agency or via trade or whatever, but next year's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, man. We're going. Is Chet going to be picked first or second there? That's what I'm thinking. I think it's now a lot of people. Let me go into this before when you're thinking about this. A lot of people are like, oh, he should stay there at Gonzaga or wherever. No, get him in the NBA. Get some muscle on this boy, please. Get him some muscle. I don't think he's. Like he'll make an impact, but I think we're going to see him really come out at year three or 4. He's going to come out. And he's going to be a star. Once they get him into playing with actual NBA players, and with that rhythm against competitive players, I think he's going to make himself more competitive. And they got to get. I mean, he's a straw. I mean, they got to get some muscle on this kid. He can shoot. He's got the moves.
Giannis was a straw when he came in. Kevin Durant was a straw when he came in. Those guys both added on plenty, and it really. This is what I've been saying the whole season with Chet. They need to get him into an NBA training regimen. They need to get him out of that college stuff. Put him with trainers that actually know how to work with 7-footers. Gonzaga, they don't know how to work with. I mean, most college programs aren't fit to deal with a person of that size. I mean,
no,
they just aren't, because it's not really a normal thing to be that large. And sometimes you can get a good translation, other times not. And Chet Holmgren has the single biggest upside of any player in the NBA draft. His floor right now might be lower than other guys like Paolo Banchero and Jabari Smith, but if he ever reaches his ceiling, that's a big if, he's going to be the best player in this draft.
Oh yeah.
And part of that to me is, I don't think this is a great draft.
No.
I think it's great, but it's
now the top 3 guys predicted: Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith, and Paolo Banchero. Those are the top 3 guys in the draft, and they all have question marks. Chet, is he going to be able to fit the build? Is he going to be able to put on that muscle? Jabari Smith, he's got great size, great length. He looks like he can become a great scorer, and he's good on defense. But then you also look at him, and you have to kind of give this realization: he's not that big of a guy either. And there's questions on whether or not his size is going to be, a problem, or if he's going to continue being able to play this position with his size. I mean, he could very well just be a Tristan Thompson-esque player. And when you're looking at top 3 guys in the draft, is Jabari Smith really that guy? And then, of course, Paolo Banchero, he's shown you what he can do on the basketball floor. But we know that NBA teams do tend to be cautious when it comes to medical conditions. That's why Michael Porter Jr. fell from a number 1 overall pick down into the mid stages of the first round. I think he got taken, 15th or something, when he was nearly guaranteed top 5, all because he had some back problems that we really haven't seen in the NBA. He's just not the player that I think he probably could have been if he got the respect right away that we gave to a lot of other guys. So all 3 of these guys have some question marks to them. We all know they're good basketball players, but they all have questions. So to me, I don't think a team like Orlando, Oklahoma, or Houston is going to go out and make a wild card pick in the first 3. You don't really see that. One of those 3 guys is going to go in those, in that order, most likely. Not in that order, but these 3 guys are going to go 1, 2, 3. You can almost guarantee that, because I don't think any of these teams are going to be ones that rock the boat. My only thing, I don't think Orlando goes Chet Holmgren. So no, I don't think he goes number 1, because Orlando tried the tall guy. They brought in Mo Bamba. Remember? Mo Bamba was the guy in college. Everyone went, you got to get Mo. Mo is the guy. He's getting songs made about him. He's tall. He's got a massive wingspan, biggest wingspan in NBA history, and his numbers have been okay. They went the big guy route, and now there's already talks about Orlando moving on from Mo. I don't think they move on from a 7-footer to go get another one. I feel like they tried it, so I think it's more likely you see them go Jabari Smith, who is obviously still 6'10", but I think his offense, at least at the moment, his offensive floor is higher than the floor of Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
Because Chet Holmgren really, in reality, out of the top 5 players, probably offensively is the least developed, but he has the highest ceiling. And so you're to this point.
He's got to be great.
Potential, or are you weighing what they are right now? Because if you're going for a guy right now, then the obvious answer is probably Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin. But he's not expected to go until the 10th pick. Or Keegan Murray out of Iowa.
That's what I was going to say.
A lot of people are saying Keegan Murray is going to be a bust. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
if you're going for who's playing the best basketball, Jabari Smith is a hard to say no candidate.
Yeah.
Paolo Banchero led a pretty good team this season. And Johnny Davis put up mega numbers.
I won't put this out here. This is not talking about any of these guys, but Isaiah Mobley's going to be in this draft too. And he's not as he's not as good as his brother, but he still could have he has solid tools. to be a pro.
My thing is, most of the time, there ain't no point to look past the first 20 picks in the NBA draft.
But I think that'd still be cool if the Cavs picked.
None of them ever get solid playing time.
Yeah, I know.
They never get a chance. It's the saddest thing because you got first round. Because most teams picking down after 20 don't need anybody. Or the guys they need, they can't make it fresh. They need somebody out of free agency that is going to bring an experience.
Yeah.
So, honestly, there are some great players in this draft. Don't get me wrong. But do I think it is as strong as years past? No.
I don't think it's
I
strong.
think there's some
I don't
good
think it's
players, some strong scorers. But in honesty, this is probably one of those classes we forget about in 5 years.
I don't think it's strong.
Outside of maybe one or two guys.
It's deep and it has potential to be a good one.
A lot of potential. I like
on paper. It's deep. I mean, we just talked about when you have a guy like Obagi. That's Matt talking about. Maybe you can get him at 14. That's pretty good. That's pretty deep. But I just don't know how much. 14. I just don't know how much.
I really want that at 14. I ain't gonna lie.
I would like to get Johnny Davis, to be honest.
I want. I
don't know. He's another guard, and he's 6'5". Cleveland used to, Yeah, I know Agbaji's that same height, I guess. So never mind.
Well, these shooting guards / small forwards, you could play them forward, and they need that's what they need as a forward.
With with Markkanen, and they become like a shooting sensation. Man, it'd be something.
You can never have enough shooting.
Yeah.
So last night, Miami needed shooting in the worst way.
Yeah.
What do you do when you don't have it? You can't. You kind of find your way out of it.
I'd say Washington might be one of those quiet guys in this draft. I mean, he was playing second fiddle at Kentucky all season long, and he was really should have got probably a lot more looks than he did. But of course, when you got a Sheepway rolling like he was all year, it was hard to get any noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somehow Sheepway isn't in this draft, which still baffles.
I'm glad he's staying another year. I'm glad he's staying at Kentucky. That boy's going to come back with vengeance. Losing in the first round to St. Peter's.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be leaving. I'd be coming back too.
The whole team should be coming back that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I also like Benedict Mathurin, so I think I don't think the Magic are going to rock the boat too hard, but I think there's a chance. There's a chance they go Jaden Ivey or Shaedon Sharpe. I think the top 5 guys are all available at number 1. I think Keegan Murray has a chance to sneak into the top 5 and not number 1. But you look at these 3 teams, and they don't look like teams that are looking to rock the boat. Mm-hmm. They're going to draft. They're going to stick to their guns. They're going to take the guy best available and work that into their system because all 3 of these, they're in complete rebuild modes. They're not looking for one piece. And Orlando's been in this spot, which is why I think they kind of avoid going the way they've already done before. And if anyone's going to make a change here, it'll probably be Ivy at number 1 just because he's something different. But it's still hard to say no. It's hard to pass on Smith and Banchero at that number 1 spot. But I can't see Chet Holmgren going number 1 to Orlando.
I like to see him in OKC.
I want him over there next to Alexei Pokusevsky. That's who I want. You get 2 7-footers over there that can both spread the floor. Oh man, that's a recipe for success over there, man. Oh, yeah. If they can put some muscle behind those guys, that'll be a very.
Hey, we saw that, and we're gonna start seeing teams try to do what the Cavs did. They put 2 7-footers, stretch the floor out. Teams are gonna start trying to do that now.
Yep, we just gotta do it better.
Great, count on Kalun to do something better.
Oh yeah,
doesn't happen too often. All right, let's finish out the show here. Nhl Playoffs going on. 2 games here. One team's already punched their ticket into the next round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That was Tampa. They win it 4-0 over the Panthers. And games on tonight, Carolina and the Rangers. Carolina leads at 2-1. I'm going to give Carolina tonight's game. They go up 3-1.
Me too.
Here's a short explanation why. Okay, I know the Rangers play good under pressure. And they did it against the Penguins, Matt, coming back 3 games straight and trailing in all those games. But Carolina's better than Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh would have lost to Carolina, which I would have been fine at. I just wanted to get over that Rangers.
That's not why I brought them up, though.
Huh?
I'm bringing up Pittsburgh because Carolina's better than them. It's a different animal that the Rangers are dealing with.
Yeah. Next game, Calgary at Edmonton tonight.
There we go.
Edmonton leads the series 2-1 right now, and Matt, I got to lean on to, what you were saying before the playoffs begin, that Calgary just ain't that team. They ain't that team. And Edmonton's showing them out. And
Edmonton.
I know they're technically the 2 seeds, so obviously they're not viewed that much behind Calgary, but I think you look at the 1 seeds in hockey and you go, you should be the best. And right now the Oilers are right there. And my differential from the regular season is getting crapped on with this one because according to my numbers, the Flames are the second best team in the NHL, but this just brings up the monster of the playoffs and matchups and how that can really affect. But Matt, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'm taking Edmonton at home tonight. They go up 3-1. I think they just have momentum. They're looking like the better team, and they're playing at home.
Look at the things that Connor McDavid is doing, especially against the Kings. I know, Calgary's a little bit better quality of a team than the Kings were, but they had 3 defenders on this guy, and this guy is still just making plays. I'm like, man. And then you throw in who's the other two? Man, I gotta give these players names.
You could sidetrack.
We get so many players' names, man, with all the rosters every night. It's hard.
There you go. Oh my God, Leon Draisaitl. This dude comes out of nowhere. This dude is playing terrific hockey. I love Leon Draisaitl. You put Connor McDavid in there as well. Those two are the key of success. And look at the Flames. The one guy that sticks out to me is Johnny Gaudreau. The guy's, he's got some speed, but you don't have backup. Look at McDavid and Draisaitl. And I'm forgetting one other player too.
Of course you
are. I got it. 1 second.
It's not going to load now because you're.
No, it's going to load.
It's not going to load.
Here we go. So we got McDavid, we got Draisaitl, and I can't find it right now.
Okay.
But those 2 players are
pretty good
players. What's that?
I got Edmonton tonight.
Oh, Edmonton.
Okay. I want to think it's going to go back and forth, but they're playing.
Guys, let's hop out of hockey for a second to finish off the show because let's get to the segment we didn't get to do Friday because we unfortunately weren't able to do the show. How about we hand out Meathead of the Week?
All right.
Last week's Meathead of the Week, Matt?
All right. Last week's Meathead of the Week. I don't know. I got one for this.
I caught you off guard.
Yeah,
you could use part of this week because it's been. Go ahead.
Yeah. How about NASCAR?
What happened?
So, the race in Texas the other night. So this is what happened. Ryan Blaney won the race. So there was a caution on the last lap. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. hit the wall, literally, I don't know, in feet away from crossing victory lane. They threw the caution flag out, which you don't do. You don't do that at all during the last lap. You let him go, especially a scrape on the wall. This wasn't a huge wreck. It was a scrape against the wall, okay? And they threw the caution flag up. They screwed up there, and now Blaney, thinking he won, takes his cornet down, right? Immediately, they should have black flagged him, made him go into the pit, and fix the net. He probably wouldn't have ended up winning the race. I didn't want that because I wanted Blaney to win, but NASCAR, follow the rules. They almost crashed on that restart. Hamlin and Blaney almost went into the wall. Just imagine if his net was down. That's not good, NASCAR. Bunch of hillbillies.
All right, well, let's give out highlights of the week from the past week, or you can use this weekend since it's fresh off of it. So, Matt, why don't we start you out with you? What's going on?
How about Kenny Pickett, that new Steelers uniform, man? That's pretty sick looking, man. Woo!
All right, Mike?
Man, I'll keep it in Pittsburgh. I'm going out today. I sent you guys that. I'm all pumped up. Cal Mitchell got called up today.
Oh, yeah, all right.
That's a good one, but I got to go. How about Baltimore? The Orioles, they finally call up the top prospect in their farm system. He's been waiting down there for a couple years. And maybe it'll bring some life into their organization because they need some. But that will do it here for the Casual Sports Podcast. That's all the time we have for today. Come on back tomorrow. We're going to keep things rolling along here in the Casual Sports Podcast. We'll see you then. I'm Alec Cabrera. That's Matt Morrison and Mike Wolfgang. Power Hour coming up next on your Sports Network.